Well, let's get more on Obama's comments on cybersecurity from Berin Szoka. He's from the think tank TechFreedom, joining me live now here on RT. President Obama, he cited growing threats from cyber attacks. Just how justified are these fears?
Well, I think the threats are real. We've already seen American companies, foreign companies, governments, both here and abroad, attacked by malicious hackers, both from countries, presumably China, although no one really knows, and also international networks of criminals and perhaps even terrorists. So the threats are real, and I'm glad that we're focusing on the real problem here, which is the government can do more to help private companies know when there's a threat coming. So this order is really focused on sharing that threat information from government to private companies, and that's a good thing.
And are you pleased to know that this new order wouldn't compel the private sector to take any action? In other words, does it have to cooperate as such?
No, very much so. There have been proposals in Congress, such as was mentioned earlier about CISPA and other bills, that would potentially at least encourage private companies to share information. And our concern is that the information we're talking about here could include user communications like emails. So anything we can do to focus on the real problem, which is government sharing information with private companies, is good. And anytime that private companies are going to be sharing information with government, we need to make sure that they're removing the private information of users if they're able to do so. And also that users have a remedy. That, in other words, what we don't want is a situation where government can either legally require or can pressure or coerce private companies to share potentially sensitive user information.
Sure. And just to interrupt here, but Obama does say that this order stresses specifically that there will be strong privacy and civil liberties protections, and yet some people don't seem to trust that. Why not?
Well, I understand their skepticism. Frankly, we don't have a particularly good track record on this. The good news is twofold. The administration has put into place pretty robust privacy protections, the so-called fair information practice principles, and those really are intended to be used as limitations on government, so I think they're generally appropriate here. And the second piece of all this is that the President made very clear that what it's going to take to exercise proper oversight here is for Congress to appoint the chairman to the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board and to fully fund that board. We've been waiting for that for years now, and that's what we need to make sure this system works properly.
Right, now, are we seeing the control of the internet here that actually affects the likes of you and me? Do we need to worry about this, or is it not really aimed at criminal groups, terrorists, and indeed state-sponsored organizations?
Well, there is a concern here if what we're talking about is private companies sharing information with government, because that information could include the contents of our emails. And if your listeners want to, or viewers want to get a sense of how real that threat is, I would just encourage them to look at the Google Transparency Report, which documents just how often that particular company gets requests from governments, not only here in the US, but all around the world for user information. So there's a lot of that going on, and sometimes it's justified. The trick is to make sure that we have proper safeguards in place so that when government really does need access to private information like emails, they're doing it for the right reasons, and that there is oversight and also accountability.
Berin, thank you so much. Good to hear from you. Berin Szoka from the TechFreedom think tank, joining us live here on RT. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.